Let's welcome on and say hi to Dave Trabert. Kansas Policy Institute joins us on Tuesdays here on KCMO Talk Radio. It's all going down this week, as I understand it, Dave. We'll probably know by the end of the week whether or not Kansans are going to get the tax cut and if they can override Governor Kelly's veto for that, what's called a flat tax, but it's really not a flat tax. Good morning.
Good morning, Pete. Good to be here.
So when you look at that deal, it's really whether or not they have the votes to override Governor Kelly in the Senate. And it looks like it could come down to this guy in KCK, David Haley. He could be the deciding vote on whether or not this two-tiered tax system goes into place in the state of Kansas. Is that what you're hearing right now?
Yeah, that's what it looks like. The House has it seems to have the votes to override Kelly's veto. The Senate right now is said to be one vote short because you have the spoilers, Dennis Pyle, who gave us Governor Kelly, running as an independent for governor. He and his buddy, Senator Rob Olson from Johnson County, are siding with the governor out of spite, not out of policy. And so you have it's down to one vote short. And David Haley has said, Senator Haley has said he's not decided. He hasn't said which way he's leaning. And it's really encouraging, regardless of how this turns out, to see a politician not be just cowed by the will of the party. It's really good to see someone stand up and say, I haven't decided. I'm trying to look at both sides of this. And because we don't see that very often. We often see more with Democrats, but also to some degree with Republicans. If the party says do this, then it's like we say jump, you say how high.
But couldn't you make the argument on the other side about Rob Olson in Olathe and Dennis Pyle in up northeast?
With them, it's just politics. I mean, that's what I said. Both sides do it. Now they say they have other reasons. Like Kelly, they'll say, well, they're concerned about the budget deficit. That's a made-up thing. We showed that. Kelly tried to hide $1.6 billion in new spending to claim that the flat tax would create a deficit. It doesn't do it. They say the low-income people don't get enough. Well, the flat tax gives people more savings, low-income folks, than Kelly's plan. The numbers don't lie. The people talking about them often shade the truth, let's say. But the Kansans are better off. The majority of taxpayers are better off with the flat tax proposal. The economy is certainly better off. Even the Tax Foundation, which had a lot of negative things to say about Sam Brownback's plan, the Tax Foundation came out recently saying this flat tax proposal will do a lot more for job creation and the state's economy than Kelly's plan.
Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute, is on KCMO. So this week we'll know whether or not Kansans will see a reduction in their income tax at the state level. Laura Kelly has basically vetoed that bill. Republicans in the House and the Senate are trying to override that thing as we speak. It may come down. It's likely to come down to one vote in the Senate, and that would be David Haley, a Democrat out of KCK. Now, one thing the Kelly administration is saying here is that this income tax reduction from like 5.7 on the top end to 5.25, it's not a massive reduction, but it's still, money back in Kansans' pockets, would lead to a $500 million budget shortfall by the end of this decade. I know that you can make numbers say whatever you want them to, Dave. How realistic does that seem?
Well, the headline we put on our rebuttal to that is we called out her pants on fire claim. It is flat out not true. She knows it. We showed that to get to that number, she had her budget department add $1.6 billion in new spending to get there. They don't disclose it. They don't tell the truth. They just fabricate something. Look, the numbers from Kansas Legislative Research show that after 3-4 years of the flat tax plan and a billion more in new spending on social services and schools, Kansas would still have $4 billion in reserves. The numbers are very clear. Kelly and her cohorts are just making this up.
All right, Dave, we'll see how it goes the rest of the way. Hey, I want to ask you, too, about something on a more local level here in Prairie Village, and that is around proposed changes to the Prairie Village Code of Ethics that would restrict elected officials' private speech and subject them to public sanctions for representing constituent interests. What the heck is that all about? We know that back in the fall, of course, Prairie Village had a big turnover on its city council. The mayor's not happy about that. What's the backstory here?
Oh, the backstory is Mayor Mickelson would like to ban people from living in the city who don't agree with him. His first step is going to be to gag elected officials on city council for daring to have a different opinion. I mean, they want to silence some people. They want to scare them into, you can be sanctioned. He set up a system where an elected official can be sanctioned for advocating for a policy that the majority of council believes is not what the citizens think. You can just make up whatever you want to sanction someone, and then they put the press in, because you're one of the only local area media who will tell the truth about these things. The Kansas City Star, the Shawnee Mission Post, whatever they call themselves now, they're just all in. If government says it, if the left says it, they will repeat it as gospel. They will not do their job as journalists. So he wants to silence people. And it's just part of the way things go. It's like Commissioner Chair of the Johnson County Commission, Kelly. They will not tolerate dissent.
And that's after the people of Prairie Village sent a clear message to that city council that what you guys have been doing, we're not fans of and is not working. So you're saying now some of the new voices on the Prairie Village City Council who may not like the mayor's ideas on a lot of things, Mayor Mickelson there, he's basically trying to silence individuals who have been elected by the people? Is that my understanding?
Oh, that's exactly what it is.
And how close is he to getting this done?
Well, they still have the majority, so it could very well happen. Now, it won't pass constitutional muster because what he's doing is proposing unconstitutional restrictions on speech. His policy would be that once you serve on council, you cannot go advocate before city council, before a city committee on anything that you might have thought about while you were in office. And the way they carve it out to allow it to still happen is the current ethics policy covers elected officials and employees. He's carving out employees. So employees are still able to go do the master's bidding. And while you silence the voices of people who actually stand up for people, and even whether have the minority viewpoint or not, people have a right to have their voice heard.
But this guy's, isn't he some big shot attorney in town? I mean, I don't need a fancy law degree to know that this sounds wildly unconstitutional.
Yeah, it is wildly unconstitutional, Pete. We asked him to show us. He said, well, our attorney tells us that this is all legal. Well, yeah, his attorney is the same. It's the mayor of Westwood is this Prairie Village attorney who helped him draw this up. He's the one who's threatening to sue citizens if they disagree with him. I mean, this is just a cabal. We are going to silence dissent. It's like, who's next? Putin coming in to be mayor of Prairie Village? They just don't tolerate dissent.
Wow. Yeah, David Waters, who is the mayor of Westwood, who also is the attorney for Prairie Village. Boy, it's getting awfully incestual up there in northeast Johnson County, is it not?
Isn't it?
Wow.
It? We asked Mickelson, so do you have a written opinion on justifying this as constitutional? Crickets. It's like, listen,
Wow.
I say it must be true, go away, we don't want to hear. They don't tolerate dissent. They won't have an adult conversation and talk about issues, because they just want people to be under their thumb.
That's unreal. Unreal. Dave, great stuff this morning. We always appreciate you, and we'll do it again next week.
All right, thanks, Pete. Have a good one.
Dave Trabert, Kansas Policy Institute. Always good to have him on KCMO.